Gloves Off, episode number 4 with me, Evil Eddie, and James McSweeney. What's going on, James? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How you doing? Everything good?
Everything's good. I mean, it's kind of been a crazy week for me and you, just on the technology side of things here with the podcast, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. Just these are just learning bumps and little incidents that happen. It's just all part of the business, I guess. So we're learning as we go along.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing that's coming along right now is that, we're on episode 4, and we've seen so many people that have jumped on board and have been asking us questions. I've seen your Instagram been blowing up, especially with the movie coming out and Zool going on. I mean, big things going on right now. Hopefully you're going to have that upcoming fight, a couple of upcoming fights. Why don't you give everybody a little update there? What's going on?
Well, unfortunately, I've been preparing for the last 10 weeks to fight a K1 fight in Australia, and it just got cancelled. So the fight is pulled out. It's not to do with me or the opponent or the promotion. Unfortunately, my visa got denied in Australia. Very silly technical error. Basically, I lived in Australia over 2 years ago, and I had a business visa there when I was there. The business visa was expired. We tried to renew it, and we had to do it offshore. When we left the offshore of Australia to renew, that visa no longer exists. So there was a long waiting list to get back and to get another visa, which I wasn't prepared to wait another year and a half in England or any other country to go back to Australia. So I never went back, and I came back to Thailand. And applying for a short-term sports visa, it's like a 408 visa, which basically enables me to go into Australia for a certain amount of days, have my fight, and come out. We had to prove my contract, prove my sponsorship letter from the promotion to say they're paying for my flights, my hotel, my food, and so forth for me to go in X amount of days and then leave. And I had to prove my lifestyle in Thailand, my businesses. We proved everything, and we waited 10 days, and they refused us.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Not only are you having issues, Khabib's dad and his corner men are having issues right now, and they got a huge upcoming fight.
I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous because I've never been refused a visa in any country. I've fought all over the world. I've lived all over the world. I don't have no criminal record, no problems like that. It even stated on my refusal that they knew that I had had a visa before, and we left the country before the visa expired. We hadn't broken any laws, but because I had a visa before, they don't believe that I'm not only going to go there for a short period of time and leave. They think that I'm going to try to stay and set up on shore again, and that's definitely not the case. My wife and daughter are staying in Thailand. I wasn't even going. I bought a house here. I got a business here. I wouldn't go back. It's ludicrous. We've tried every which way. We contacted different attorneys. We contacted the government. We contacted the local sports MP in Melbourne. And unfortunately, now we're under 2 weeks before the fight. Nobody could help us. So I've left no choice but to the promotion to pull the main event.
It doesn't even make sense, man, because like you said, well, first off, has this ever been an issue like this before in the past with
Not
traveling
not
for fights?
not with me. I've never had any issues. I've always had a visa. I fought in Russia. Russia's a very hard country to get a visa in. America, Canada, you name the country around the world. Japan. I've been there and I've pretty much fought there. So I've never had a visa problem. We've always had to prove, that your flight in, your flight out, health insurance. You have to prove. The promotion have to give you a certified affidavit letter to say, you're fighting on the event, for what days you arrive, what days you will be leaving, what hotel you're staying, and so forth. We proved that and beyond. We made everything. But because of my past history because I lived there for 1 year, and I stuck to their guidelines, and I never overstayed. I never expired my visa. I left on the right, and it even says that in the refusal. I'm going to post the refusal online some point, either today or tomorrow, for everyone to make sure that everyone is clear that it's not my fault. It's not.
And you know what? For people out there that aren't aware of what a big issue it is, especially for you or like one of your corner men, if they're not there, it could change the entire fight.
Well, if I'm not there, it definitely changes
Well,
the
yeah,
fight.
yeah, of course, of
It
course.
doesn't happen. But if my corner team isn't there, yeah, that's a big problem too. But the fact of the matter is, this is really disappointing because this is a legit fight, legit reason. My opponent is trained fully for his training camp to fight me. I've trained fully to fight him. We've both spent thousands of dollars in our training camp, and 2 weeks out to have it, just refused. And it's really crazy with the Australian government. When they refuse you, you can't appeal the decision, you can't speak to anybody, and you can't contact them.
Wow.
So it's just pretty much a computer that says yes or no, and that's it.
That's absolutely
There's
ridiculous.
no factors are taking play. When we contacted an attorney in Australia, they said to us pretty much that we've fallen victim to a very poor government policy of immigration, and there's nothing they can do. And unfortunately, they're just apologetic that this policy still exists, and they don't know how long the policy is going to go on for. Because basically, what they're trying to say is, because I had a visa once, I can't apply again. But that's not the law. You can apply again as many visas as you like. I mean, I can't even go there on holiday by the sound of it, which seems absolutely ludicrous. So I had a visa living there. I never overstayed. I never broke the law, and I stuck to all the guidelines of the Immigration Department of Australia. And yet I'm banned, but I'm not banned. I haven't been banned from the country. They tell me I'm not banned, but they just won't grant me a visa. So
It doesn't even make sense to
it's
me. And
absolutely ludicrous, and it's so frustrating because, of course, next Saturday I'm meant to be fighting. Everything's been built up, spent over $20,000 in my training camp, plus time for the last 10 weeks getting ready for a fight that's not taking place.
man, that's gotta that's really hard, man. That's gonna ruin all the momentum for you. It's just a very upsetting news to hear here.
Yeah, well, we got the news on Friday last week, and we were trying to appeal it over the weekend and trying to, just grabbing at straws, grabbing anybody that would listen to us pretty much. I even contacted the Australian Embassy in Bangkok and asked them, can I go down there for an interview? At least question me over the refusal. And if
Yeah.
there's anything that they're not happy about, I'll answer any questions. But they wouldn't even allow us to do that.
So looking ahead of this fight, you have another one set up in a
I've
couple
been
weeks
offered
after.
I've been offered the fight October 6th for KSW in England,
So
Wembley
you're
Arena.
back. You're back to KSW.
Yeah, yeah, well, I've always had a contract with them. It's always been an open contract. I was meant to fight for them over a year ago in London. That fight got pulled out the day before the event.
I
So
remember.
I've had a bit of rough luck when it's come to a couple of these fights the last year or so. Cost me a lot of money yet again. And but now there's a big event going on in Wembley Arena. KSW have asked me to fight. I said yes. They've offered me a couple of opponents. I said I don't really care. You decide. You decide who it's going to be.
And also, on a better note, you also have a movie coming out in case we got any new listeners out there. Uh,
Yep.
you're going to be with the number one actor out there, Zul Afren, who you said we might be able to get on the podcast soon, which would be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
well, yeah, we're going to get him on the next podcast, maybe on episode number 5. He's doing a TV movie right now, so he's quite busy as well. But he's finishing up over the next week or so, so we should be able to get him on as well, and we'll try and link times. But he's more than happy to come on and let everyone know what it's been like as a movie actor, trying to, well, an action star really. He's the number one in Asia, so he's trying to. He's always been a martial arts fanatic, and he's been training with me now since working on the movie with me called Sankar Film. That's a mixed martial arts movie that we did together. It's coming out on May 2019. It's still the premiere, so we fly out to Kuala Lumpur and do the premiere then. So it was one of my largest roles I've ever played. So I play the baddie.
And you
No
play
surprise, I guess.
yourself too, right? You play James McSweeney.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. They wanted me to play a Russian guy at first, but once they met me and we had a meeting, they said, "No, won't you be yourself? You can be a London baddie." And I played the Dolph Lundgren kind of character, I guess, the big bad guy. But no, it was lots of fun, and we've done a deal. There's going to be numerous on obviously on the back of this movie. They project huge numbers and followings on this movie. So there'll be number 2, which has already been set. We're going to do a number 2 next year as well.
That's awesome. That's great news. I literally cannot wait to see this. I'm gonna have like I'll have like a movie scene. However, I got to get my hands on this video. I'm sure there's a way, especially with the internet nowadays and everything. But
Oh, for
James,
sure.
let's jump into some MMA news, and especially on your note as an Ultimate Fighter Season 10 veteran. there's been some good news for the Ultimate Fighter fans out there, especially with the UFC signing with ESPN. So earlier this week, Dana White was in an interview and he came out saying, yeah, the TUF gym is closing down. Yeah, we're going to be selling the TUF house, but once we go to ESPN, we're going to be continuing the series. So that's
Mhm.
some good news, along with them having season one reunion. Did you catch wind of this?
No, I just got just a. I heard someone talk about it the other day, but I didn't give it too much attention because it wasn't a great source. I just heard it on online. So yeah, no, if it's true, that's fantastic. I mean, I said to you one day before, yeah, if it's over, it's over. But there's always going to be something coming on to next. I thought they had shut it down because of the Contender series. I thought they were hoping that all the fan base from Ultimate Fighter would go to Contender. That's what I thought he'd be doing. But no, if it's going over to ESPN, that's even better.
Well, remember when you guys were on there? It was on what's now known as Spike, which is a bigger platform.
That's right.
But you know what? Fox, they were all excited to go over to Fox, but all those fights and especially the Ultimate Fighters on channel like
I thought Spike was the best.
271.
I thought Spike was the best. Really, he got the most viewers.
Yeah,
Everyone watched Spike back then. Everything was on Spike. All the truck driving was on Spike. All the racing car was on
the
Spike.
Manly
Spike,
Man stuff.
yeah, it was all the boys' channel, wasn't it? So
It really became hidden once they signed with Fox. I don't think that they got a really good deal, and maybe that's why we've seen a huge decline. But I'm pretty excited to see this because they are also taking along Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender series, and there's a lot of
hmm
people out there that enjoy, even the reunions. There was a lot of people that wish they did like an embedded for the reunion. And do you think they're going to do a reunion for your season or what?
if they did, it'd be really cool. I think
Yeah,
it'd be really cool because of all the only thing that'd be hard about our season is that now so many people have fallen out with the UFC that are no longer there. I mean, if they do a reunion, they can't use Roy Nelson. They're not going to use Matt Mitrione.
they're probably not
Brendan's
going to
not going
bring
to be
Brandon.
used.
He doesn't have a good
That's
relationship
what
with
I'm.
Dana.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, but then on the other side of that, maybe they would because look at the viewers it would bring.
Yeah, yep. It's the truth,
I
man.
mean,
People love it.
if you look at it on a business side note, I mean, how many viewers that series got and how many viewers it would get now because so many people that went on to do successful things from that one series. I think the reunion would be massive. Um, and I think it would build a lot of controversy as well. So I think there's a lot of comments we made from different people, different stages. So it'd be funny, interesting to see. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard because a lot of them gone to Bellator now. A lot of them had bad, Brendan and Dana have obviously fallen out on a big scale. Um, yeah, it'd be difficult to see if it would happen.
You know who's doing really good that I ran into was Justin Wren, man. I got to meet him. He's one of the nicest guys. And he kind
hmm
of introduced his story to everybody. He finally, kind of exposed himself of what he was doing in the Tough House. Did you guys have any idea that he was, using pain medicine while, competing?
No, but to be honest, no disrespect, but there's so many people there are.
Yeah.
So if you find out one person is, it's not like, oh wow, that's terrible. It's. I mean, um, he has a huge background here in wrestling, and it was no surprise. It's probably no surprise. You know what I mean? There's not this. He's not the only one who has to take pain medicine at certain ages and stages in their life, or has been hooked on it. I mean, it's just been combated for years. And to be honest with you, he hasn't even been that active in the fight world. He hasn't
Yeah.
even had that many fights.
He's been doing
He just
really
had a
big
lot of.
things with like the pygmy people.
Oh yeah, he's been out there doing a ton of stuff. I mean, he was always very religious when he was in the house, and he was very upset because they took the Bible from him when he went into the
Oh
house. He
man,
wasn't
I
allowed the
forgot
Bible.
about that. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was very disappointing for him. He was really upset, and there was a couple of times that he went through the ringer a little bit on the show, off camera, and there was a couple of times that a few things happened on camera that he was really concerned about. That if it was to come out, he was concerned. But I've always thought he was a good kid. He was a young kid back then. Now he's a man. He's doing his own thing. But back then he was a young kid, and he was very close with God, it's terrible. Scott Junk. He was very
Oh
close with
man.
Scott Junk on the show. Scott Junk was like his big brother on the show. He kind of big brothered him and looked after him and tried to don't make foolish errors. And he watched him. So they were really close. And I thought I was quite close with him as well on the show. He come to me and confided in me about a few things, and he was just a good kid, a really good kid, a good Christian boy that come from a nice background, an amazing wrestler. I forget what he looked like. You know, his conditioning was really good. He was super strong.
I
He was a
thought
good
he beat
fighter.
Roy. Remember that fight with
Well,
Roy?
yeah. I mean, to be honest, in my opinion, I was ringside, and I thought he won that fight too.
Adelaide
I think,
Bird was the judge, James. Adelaide Bird was the
yeah,
judge that night.
yeah.
Years later to
Say,
find out she
say,
blew the biggest fight,
say,
you know?
say no more. But I mean, it was really close, and I know Dana was really pissed as well because A, Dana and Roy never had any love lost. Dana didn't like him whatsoever. But B, I think it would have been a nicer story for him to win.
Yeah, and it would be really cool to see all you guys get a reunion finally. I mean, that was one of my favorite seasons. So, even
Well, it's so sad because now, like you got uh, Kimbo's not here no more, bless his
yeah.
heart, and so there's a lot of people that if they do it and they allow everyone to be on the show, then that's great. But if they're going to hold grudges over Brendan, hold grudges over Roy and Matt Mitrione and all the rest of it, who are they going to have on? Me and a handful of other guys. I mean, not the real stars, but the top end guys that actually got somewhere to do something would be the ones that would make the reunion a good reunion.
And this is
So
why,
if we're gonna do it, allow everyone to be on. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because that's what's gonna make the reunion good. If it's just gonna bring on the bottom end of the puzzle, then they pretty much the bottom end who lost in the first or second fights disappeared, and we never heard from them much again. So
And this is why I kind of want you to get into the Bellator kickboxing. Like you should go home to Spike TV where all the other guys are, like Roy, like
hmm
Justin. That would just be awesome to see. I would
yeah.
love for that to go down. But moving forward here, James, there's a lot of crazy things that are going on in the world of MMA. I know that everybody wants us to talk about Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Me and you kind of brushed on it when we last spoke, but diving right into it, there's a lot of people out there saying, well, Conor McGregor had a little issue against Chad Mendes. Yeah, but that fight was on short notice. Khabib is a bigger lightweight. How do you see this fight going down, and what are the keys to victory for Conor McGregor?
For Conor needs space. For Conor to win this fight, he's got to keep space. He's got to keep distance. He's got to keep, and he's one of the best masters at it. He knows the space. He knows how to keep his distance. He's always, if you watch him, he's always using that half penetration, half recoil step. That's how he knocked out Aldo, where he half commits in, then he retreats out and makes you commit, and he caught Aldo on the way when Aldo overcommitted. And he has a great method of footwork there. So he keeps his stance nice and wide. He's very good. He's got very long arms, and his southpaw stance makes that jab even closer. So he's a master of his space. So that's really the key to this fight because Khabib, obviously, Khabib punches short. He doesn't fully extend his punches. He doesn't fully rotate on his punches. But everything he does is to make the clinch happen or to make the grind of the turmoil happen. So that was one thing. So it's very important that Conor keeps his distance. It's very important that he makes sure that if he is going to close the distance, it's under Conor's rules, not under Khabib's rules.
And he stays very relaxed, calm, cool, and collected, especially in that first round. But everyone's like, "Oh, his cardio, his cardio." I mean, what can you say about that?
I think it's just silly nowadays that people just look for. I mean, you look at one of the pound for pound best fighters to
Yeah.
ever walk in the cage, right?
Yep.
He's done things in different weight classes that's never been done. He's gone out there and done 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. He's trained and trained and
He
trained
looked
and
good in the
trained.
beginning of that fight
Um,
too against Floyd.
yeah, and the fact of the matter is, he's not a 10-round fighter. To be a 10-round fighter in boxing takes over 20 fights. So he starts off, he's a 3-round fighter, which everyone gave him 3 rounds to make something happen. And in those 3 rounds, he looked great. And with his experience, 1 to 5 fights, you have 3-round fights. And then you have 5 round, then 8, and then you go up to 10 and 12 round fights once you hit that 20 fight mark. And so it was no surprise that he was a 3-round or 5-round fighter against Floyd. He just did a great job, and he just wasn't his fight. And Floyd just outgassed him and outworked him and kept composed under pressure and outboxed him. But this is not boxing. We've seen Conor go round after round and pressure after pressure. The fact of the matter is, the guy is one of the most technical and skilled fighters of the world. Um, him not being in condition has never been a factor in my opinion. The only time it was a factor was when he fought Diaz the first
And
time,
that was on short notice.
and but that wasn't even the fact that he wasn't in shape. He fought a bigger, stronger, more versatile fighter, and he didn't control his energy output.
Well, yeah,
He did,
here, he-
and that's exactly what happened. He was throwing punches at full pace, kicks at full pace, hoping to knock him out. And when he wasn't, he got stubborn and continued to throw at full pace,
exactly.
rather than control his aggression, rather than control the technique and just go through the motions and energy resource. He wasn't picking them; he was actually overthrowing. And he was the first person, I think, to say, "I didn't control my energy output, and I got tired."
Well, here,
And it cost him. But then he came back and did what?
and here's what I remember in that first round, exactly what you're saying. Diaz started opening up with a lot of blood, and he started
Mhm.
chasing after that finish, and then it literally just gassed him. He was falling over
But then that's the
in the
wrong.
second
It's the
round.
wrong fighter to do that against. Diaz is a fighter that you hurt him, he gets better. When he's hurt, he likes to fight. He's kind of like the Forrest Griffin in that extent. When you hurt Forrest, Forrest digs in a different gear, and that's the kind of fight that Forrest Griffin likes. That's the kind of fight Nate Diaz likes. How many times have you seen Nate Diaz cut and bloodied, and just in his element, loving the fight, and then just pulls the victory out of the hat with the most amazing combination and finish the fight? That's what Diaz likes. That's what the fight Diaz wants. And he played right into that. But he learned his lesson. He come back. Now, I don't know exactly how many fights Conor's had. A lot. Under the most immense pressure possible. Cardio won't be an issue in this fight.
And do you remember him coming up over there in over in your neck of the woods? Like before he was in the UFC, was he making that big of a name for himself over with what was it, Cage Warriors?
Yeah, no, I mean he wasn't making huge waves in England at that time, but I mean at the end of the day, to be honest, these young kids that come through and they win a belt here and there in England, there's a lot of them, and they make local. They people talk about them, but at that time I was already in America, I'd imagine. But I mean, no one really pays attention until you step out of the pond, and when he did, right? Jeez.
And also, maybe you can, put some more truth behind this, but I feel like a huge part of it, especially with the fight game, is a lot of the mental games that he plays with these fighters, getting under their skin. How much of a role do you think that can play with Khabib here?
I think it plays a huge role. I think it plays a huge role in anybody, and anyone that says it doesn't, I think they're lying. You're playing with a guy that has had acting lessons. I think he's had speech lessons. I think he's had, you name the lesson, he's probably had it to be the personality that he is. I think he's naturally a very great character. I think he's enhanced it, and I think he's paid a lot of attention to make it work. But I mean, it's not like this is the first time we see him and he says, "Oh, I'm going to knock you out in the first round, or I'm going to knock you out in the second round, or I predict I'm going to do this."
He
Mystic Max says this, Mystic Max says
reminds
that.
me of
When,
Rampage.
but when the guy's actually done it at the highest level possible and taken out top level guys that
Yeah.
everyone was saying, "Oh, this is his test. This is his test. This fight's going to be the biggest test of his life," and he goes out and then knocks the guy out in 10 seconds flat. I mean, that's got to play a role in anyone's head,
Well, you
right?
know what's
And when you
crazy,
go,
James? You know what's crazy is that like the people at home watching from their couches, they're like, "Oh, Dennis Seaver, who's Dennis Seaver?" Anyone in the UFC is a top level fighter. Like people
yeah,
at home
that's
don't
not.
get that.
It's not just that, not just that, but Dennis Siver's been around a long time, and he had a great kickboxing background. He was one of the great strikers. Um, he was a dangerous guy, a very dangerous guy. I mean, the list goes on. You just go through the whole roster that he's walked through.
It,
He's had no easy path. And Khabib is a great fighter, and he's a horrible like messer. Like he's going to make your combinations messy. He's going to just hump you and ride you and grab you and pull you down and out wrestle you. And that's a real pain in the ass to deal with. And Connor's got his work cut out. But I can, to be honest, my days of saying, this is gonna, I don't believe he can do it. I believe that guy can do anything he wants to.
yeah, he definitely believes in himself. And one thing that makes me a little worried about Habib, like I kind of see Habib taking this fight, definitely if it goes to the ground, like everyone's saying. But one thing we've seen with Habib is that he gets a little full of himself with striking here. He definitely cannot do that
Well,
in my book.
if he falls into that rut of trying to go pound for pound and punch for punch with Conor, that's a problem
Yeah.
for him. But the fact of the matter is, he has to take the shots to get in to make the shot. And someone with Connor's footwork is very, very difficult to do. And to be honest, I don't think when he fought Chad Mendes that his wrestling defense was that great, but I think it's got better, and I think he's continued to go better, and
That
he
was three
still
years
stood
ago.
up.
That was 3 years ago. Yeah.
I think exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I know how I was 3 years ago and who I am today. There's certain parts of my game that's gone through the roof compared to 3 years ago because I've been working on it for 3 years. So the only weakness in Connor's game that everyone was talking about was his ground game because he got submitted by Nick. So um, in 3 years, I'm sure he's been concentrating on ground. I'm sure he's been doing all kinds of work because he comes from a very good gym. He's got an absolute world of resources behind him. Wherever he goes in the world, he can train with the best of the best. He's got the best finances available where money's no option. There's no excuse.
And also, you know what else is
So,
new with this fight, James, is that he has a child. What else? What does that change for him? That changes a lot.
well, do you know what it did for me? I mean, it made everything get real for me. People said, "Oh yeah, when you get a kid, you get soft." I think it's absolute bullshit because I had a fight 1 month after my daughter was born, and I knocked the guy out in 26 seconds. And to be honest, I think I would have beat King Kong on that night. I fought Dion Starring, and Dion Starring just went 3 rounds with DC and Strikeforce. I fought him 2 months later and knocked him out in 30
Wow.
seconds. And everyone thought that Dion was going to kill me because he went 3 rounds the distance with DC.
An Olympian, yeah.
Yeah, and said, "Oh, he's such a tough guy. DC couldn't even put him away. He went the distance. McSweeney's going to get killed." I knocked him out in 26 seconds or something. I don't think he even put a hand on me. I don't think he even touched me. So, I mean, it's very motivating to have a child, and it makes everything stand for a purpose and for a reason. And for me, it only did great things. So I can't see it any different for Conor.
So now, I mean, if Conor or Khabib wins, GSP just commented on it, and he's like, you know, I want to return, but I want to return and fight the winner of this fight. Would you like to see that over, seeing, the Silva fight, like you said,
I'd
5 years
rather, I'd rather,
overdue?
I'd much rather see him fight Conor
Yeah.
than anyone else, George, because I actually do believe that would be a huge test for Conor. Um, I still know that George is in his prime. Um, I still know George is super intelligent. He doesn't have a hole in his game. That would be the biggest test, in my opinion, for Conor. But I don't think it will happen because of the weight. I don't think George is a big 170. George walks around at 200 pounds.
So let us know what you guys think about this on Twitter on our new page at Gloves Off Pod. That's GLOVESPOD. So moving forward here, James, the next topic here is, and I think this is a great question for you here. Curtis Blades, who we were kind of saying you would like to see fight for the title next. Well, he's calling out an ex-training partner of his, Stipe Miocic. Is that kind of weird of him to do, or is this the right move?
I think it's a smart move. I think it's a good test for him. I would like to see him. I think he deserves a title shot. But if he knows he's not going to get it, then what's the point? He's just going to look second best because right now, with the way they brought Brock back, um, it's looking like money's going to talk, and that fight will probably happen.
Mm.
Because now all of a sudden, Kane has stepped up. Everyone's kind of stepping up and trying to take Brock on. So that kind of whole platform of fake hype kind of worked, right? Because Dana obviously told Brock to do what he got to do, and Brock went out there and did it. So there was a reason for it. It's all about money. Blades probably is going to say Stipe deserves a rematch automatically. He's not going to get it. DC will probably go with Brock. If that's even happens, then that's terrible. But if it happens, it won't be the biggest shock in the world. But the biggest test for Blades will be okay. Let me fight the guy that beat everybody, and let me just concrete and tell everyone I ain't scared of no one. And if I beat Stipe, it's Stipe doesn't deserve another shot now because he lost against me. Who else is left? Just me. Give me my shot. So it's a very smart checkers move, you know, because if he's got the heads up from the inside camp and said, "Hey, listen, you can ask for DC all you want. You're not going to get him yet. So if you want a big fight, take this role."
And it's not like it's Rashad Evans versus John Bones Jones, where it was like really weird because the coaches are in that corner. but there's been enough time in between, and like you said, that fight for DC and Brock isn't going to happen until 2019. What's next? You're not going to get the immediate title rematch, which is the perfect segue into our
So it
next.
just means that's what I'm saying. It just means that he's going to sit on the shelf for over a year. And a kid like Blades don't want to sit on the shelf. He's hungry. He's on the gravy train of winning. He wants to keep that hype going and wants to stay active. So it's a great fight.
And it's the perfect segue into the next segment here, which is, what really entitles for an immediate title rematch. Me and you were speaking about it on the last show that, had some issues here. So we definitely got to run back towards it. What do we got? Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse lost the title. He defended it 11 times, beating Anderson Silva's title run. If he doesn't get the title match, what entitles, an immediate rematch?
Well, to be honest, apart from it being in on the contract clause, nothing. If you put it that way, as a business perspective, because don't forget what we're talking about is opinions. In our opinion, we believe he should automatically get a rematch because he's that good. He did that much good stuff for the industry, right? For that division. That's what we say as an opinion. But as a business standpoint, opinions don't mean nothing. So really what it boils down to, was it in the contract? Is it in the contract clause that if he was to lose by decision, or if I was to lose before the second round or whatever, I should get an automatic rematch? Or if I lose in the first 2 rounds, I don't get an automatic rematch. So was it in the contract? We don't know yet. I believe it probably wasn't. Because if it was, this wouldn't even be a topic of a conversation. It'd just be, oh, it's in the contract, there's a rematch, blah, blah, it's going to go. Clearly it wasn't.
And
I would have made it in the bout agreement if it was me.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC, they're looking at it like, well, you're not selling that many pay-per-views, and we kind of
Well,
want to see the division move forward here.
Well, they kind of want the division to grow. It was a big upset. That's caused a lot of hype. If this kid continues on knocking people out and making hype the way he is, then yeah, they're going to see that division grow too, and they can make a superstar out of that division. Mighty Mouse is an amazing athlete, so it's not like he's not a superstar in that realm. It's just he's not the big ticket seller, unfortunately. I don't know why. It's probably because he's super clean image and he's a nice guy.
Well, you know what they say,
You know,
James? They say that
people like controversy, don't they?
they pay by the pound. They pay for your, the heavyweights. They pay by the pound.
Well, pretty much, but then Conor broke that rule too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, no disrespect, but even when Ronda Rousey come in, she broke that too, biggest pay-per-views and things like that. So I don't believe that's the case, and I don't believe it's to do with style of fighting because I think Mighty Mouse's style of fighting is fantastic. He's pulled off some amazing finishes. If it's just about, it's more about the personality of the fighter.
And
And
also,
Mighty Mouse is a very clean cut, technical, nice guy, best man win kind of scenario, which is full martial arts respect. But unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of people that are watching it aren't martial artists. They want to see controversy, they want to see drama, they want to see smack, they want to see everyone talking crap and this big hatred towards everyone. It's got to be personal.
taking the words right out of my mouth here. I mean, yeah, now that this feud is happening, I bet people are going to be more interested.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. And if he doesn't get it, it's probably going to cause even more interest, and then he'll get it in 2 fights down the line when the interest is at is the highest point. I mean, look at what's the selling point of Tito and Chuck Liddell? There's bad blood. If there was no bad blood and they liked each other, who'd want to go and see a 50-year-old man fight another veteran? No one.
So moving forward here, obviously coming up, we got an Overeem. You were just talking about not Overeem. We were just talking about Chuck and Tito. Well, Tito was just training with your good friend Overeem. Did you catch wind of that?
Yeah, no, I did. I saw it online. I actually was messaging with Alistair the other day because there was a message put out by Chuck saying they were looking for some heavyweights to go on the undercard of the Chuck and Tito fight and to contact their manager. But I knew that manager is the same manager as Alistair. Alistair and Tito have the same management company. So I contacted Alistair and said, hey, can I have your manager's number? I wanted to contact him regarding maybe possibly fight on that show. But we've contacted them. We've gave her information, so we'll see what happens.
When
But
is that show, James?
I think it's November. Is it November?
It's going to be a big
Vegas.
pay per view. Like, there's going to be bars
Yeah,
playing it.
because
Everyone knows.
because it's been done by Golden Promotions, right?
Yep, yep.
Golden Boy Promotions,
Oscar
big
De La
boxing.
Hoya.
Yeah, Oscar has a lot, one of the biggest and most expensive budgets in the world. So, it's going to be a great show, that's for sure. That's why I was trying to reach out to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into high school, my dad was like, "Dude, you need to shave your head like Chuck Liddell," and I was like, just learning, about mixed martial arts. I was in like ninth grade. I was like, "Oh my god, like my dad's into like what's going on here? This is
I think
crazy."
everyone had that haircut at one stage or another.
Yeah, like Chuck was the face of mixed martial arts for so long, and Tito Ortiz as well. I'll
Sure.
never forget when Tito walked out with the American flag right after 9/11. That was a huge moment in
Oh yeah, it
sports.
was it was absolutely huge, and I think it's been shown around the world so many times as a such a patriotic move. But I like them both, and I like them both separate, and I like them, but the fight itself is going to sell, and it's going to be a great fight. But it's just I don't know. It's just got to be hard details to watch. But yeah, no, Alistair was over there training with Tito, and he said to me it was a great experience. Tito's a great guy, and I said, yeah. When Rashad fought Tito, they didn't like each other, but Rashad said at the time he was one of the best and strongest wrestlers he ever fought against. So that goes a lot for Tito saying something. So Rashad don't give that kind of compliment out to many people.
And what's going on with Overeem right now? Does he have an upcoming fight that's coming up, or is he just kind of
Yeah,
laying low?
no, no, no. He's always training. He's always training all over the world. But he's the most travelled fighter I think I know. He just travels everywhere, training with different camps and learning as much as he can.
Yeah,
No,
he's been like that for a while.
I'm pretty sure he's fighting December because he's coming out to see me in January.
Oh snap!
Um, yes, I think December time he's fighting. Then he was coming after Christmas, and then he's going to be in Thailand for probably like a year.
So moving forward here, James. Oh, and by the way, Joe Rogan was just out your way, out in Thailand. He said he went to a bunch of zoos. He was going to see like the lions, kind of like what you and your daughter do a lot out there. And it
Hmm.
was like it's sad to see some of these elephants out there all
No,
tranquilized
it's
or the
heartbreaking.
lions and stuff like that.
Heartbreaking. Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Man, it's I would
A lot of
enjoy
these,
seeing that.
a lot of these places I don't go to. I don't go to the elephant trekking. I don't go to the tiger kingdoms and stuff like that. I don't go to them because the animals. I don't go to the public zoos. I go to the nature reserves. We go to the rescue places and stuff like that where these animals are rescued. But I don't encourage or send anyone to these places, these tourist traps. And unfortunately, the elephants and that they're taken out of their real environment and they're carrying people around all day and they're taken away from their babies and all sorts and abused. It's terrible,
They're smart
disgusting.
creatures too. Elephants are
Oh,
extremely smart.
I'm unbelievably smart,
Are you a
beautiful
hunter,
animals.
James, or no? You love animals too much?
No, I can't. I couldn't hunt. It's funny. I can eat it,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a bit hypocritical, but I just couldn't pull the trigger myself. I respect people to do it, and it's all everyone for their own. I'm not like, oh, you're a hunter, you're a piece of shit or nothing. I respect it's a sport. It's a certain time of year that they have to control certain aspects of animals and stuff
Populations
as
and
well.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think that's great that it's all regulated. Me personally, it's just never been a thing for me. I love animals, and I mean, we had a cobra in my back garden yesterday, so that was a little thing to deal with. Yeah,
Jesus.
that's the first time ever. My daughter come in. She was outside,
No.
and she told my wife, "Oh, mummy, I was in the shower. Mummy, there's a snake in the garden." And my wife said, "Oh, are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm sure. It's a black snake." And my wife knows my daughter doesn't lie, so she's gone outside, and then she called me. It was about 2 feet long, black snake right by the wall. So they called me. I've come down, and I'm petrified of snakes. I can't stand them.
I am too,
We
man.
were keeping our distance, and then she's trying to show me where it is, but I couldn't see it. It was so blended in, I couldn't see it. And she just threw a little pebble towards it, and I see it move, but it was going along the wall. And I said, "Well, we've got to go. I usually get the snake catcher to come and get them, but I said we have to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know what snake this is even. Like, it'll just go."
You said it on
And
episode 1 of
so,
Gloves Off,
so,
James.
so she took a picture of it, and when we was out having lunch, she posted it on this Facebook site where locals, experts, tell you what kind of snake it is and so forth. Yeah, it come back as one of the most deadly cobras, a
Ooh.
baby deadly cobra that actually spits venom. So great. So yeah, when she was throwing rocks at it to get its attention, it could have turned around and
Oh
spat
my
at her.
god.
And yeah, they spit
That's
up to 4 meters, and they can get they're like so if it goes in your eyes, A, you'll be blind, but you'll be dead in about an hour. This one apparently is one of the most rarest type of cobras, and if it bites you, you got 30 minutes to live.
Did you
So,
warn the people around there to like, what can you do to prevent it coming back, or like, what do you do?
well, I come back, I check the yard. We've got the gardeners and the snake people come today and check cut all the grass real low. The grass is always really low, and the hedges are all kept up. But the snake people said that if it was only 2 feet, it's a baby, and it's not in my yard, but somewhere around here there's a nest, and of the mums obviously they have like 30 or 40 at a time.
Oh my god.
So I mean, listen, you live in Thailand, you got to expect it. This is my first experience with a cobra. So at the end of the day, I just took the precautions. We put down the snake powder. We have a thing in our yard now that vibrates, that sends like an ultrasonic vibration through the grass.
There you go.
That the snakes don't like it, so that keeps them away. But I mean, you can go and tell your neighbors all you want; they'll just say, "Yeah, we got one too." Like it's just you just got to keep vigilant, you know.
No, yeah,
So
you told everybody on episode 1 or 2 of the podcast here, you're like, I'm petrified of snakes. Like, I will
oh
leave the country.
I would have burnt. If it was my way, I'd have burnt the house down and left.
That's what you said.
Oh fuck yeah! I no. She's like, well, what should we do with it? I said, what do
We
you mean? What
gotta
should we do with
leave.
it?
We gotta get out
What
of
should we
here.
do? Get in the car and drive down the motorway as fast as we can. That's what we do. What do you mean? What we do? We do. Oh, we'll take it for dinner. Let's take it for lunch.
That's
What
great.
do we
And
do with it?
you were
Do
saying
shit
how
with it.
they like yank them out of cars and stuff like that. Like they crawl up into engines. Like they're brutal out that way.
I live in like a gated community, and the other day the security was stamping on one's head, and it was
Ooh.
another cobra. Yeah, he was trying to kill it, but he was throwing a big coconut at it, trying to kill it. And yeah, they eat them and do all sorts of, I don't know. It's just I stay away from it. But yeah, the Thais aren't scared of them. Let's put it that way. They grew up
Jesus.
with them. They're used to it. It's just like for them, it's like seeing a fox or something else. They'd see them all the time. So
Absolutely. Oh man, I would freak out. I mean, as you know, I got bit on my ass by a brown recluse spider, and I'm still
mm,
dealing. Like right now, I've been like tied up all week because my pelvic glands are still swollen. Like it hurts to bend down. Like this shit sucks,
yeah,
man. Like this shit's still
well,
poisoning my body.
I can tell you now, if one of those bites you over here, you're in a bad shape. If it was my daughter, being only small, she'd be dead. Yeah, I mean, if an adult, you could probably, if you get immediate help, you'll probably just lose the limb. But you're going to be pretty much messed up the rest of your life if you're in bad shot. So, it's not something to joke about.
No.
Anytime you see it, it's a loaded gun. So I treat it with the respect it deserves. I leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah. Yep. I would
I don't
too.
nothing to do with them. Yeah, fuck it. I don't know nothing to do with snakes. No way.
Yeah. You
I'm not a
gotta.
snake handler. I'm not a snake charmer. What do I know about snakes? Nothing.
Man, I would literally. I don't even know what I would do if my little girl was around that situation.
Well,
That's got to scare the shit out of you.
the only time I would interact with one or try to kill one would be if it was between that and my family. That's
Mm.
about it. But if we have the choice to leave, I'll leave. I'm not messing with it. Uh, I got a big axe and I would just chop his head off. That'd be the best I could do.
There you go.
But
Or
you don't want to miss.
or get some crazy neighbors that you got over there. All right, so
Yeah.
moving forward with this, we got one more thing to talk about here, James. And there seems to be a lot of fighters like Eddie Alvarez, Chris Cyborg, and they're all saying that they're kind of interested in maybe wanting to, live out their contract and go to Bellator or go to ONE FC. What do you think the dangers in them leaving the UFC are, or is it more of a pro at this point? How do you view it?
I think it's careful what you wish for because you know what I've seen a lot of people over the years complain about the fighting for the UFC and all the rest of it, and you know what, the grass is greener elsewhere. It's not always true. It's not always true at all. The fact of the matter is, there's only a few people in Bellator that are getting top end money from them. Bellator don't have the resources to pay the kind of UFC payments. Um, ONE FC certainly doesn't. It has the potential because the owner has an extreme lot of money, but he's a businessman. He's not going to give money out for nothing. I think Ben Askren was their biggest payday of 50,000 a fight, and Ben's only fighting. Look at I don't know. Go on Sherdog and see how many times Ben fights a year. Once, maybe
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, about once.
Once every 2 years.
Yeah, it's very
50 grand
few and
a
far
fight.
in between right now.
Talking about 50 grand a fight is great if you're fighting 3 or 4 times a year, right? Fighting once a year after you pay tax in your corner, man, ain't shit. So, I just think that they're either voicing frustrations or whatever. But I always feel like Eddie Alvarez. he wasn't saying that when he was the champion and he was going to fight Conor.
Yeah, that's
If he beat Conor, would he have said that?
no, definitely
No,
not. Definitely not.
because he'd be getting $1 million a fight plus. So he wouldn't say that. But it's only when they a little bit like there's someone so dominant in their realm. I'm surprised Cyborg is saying it because she's so dominant. And to be honest, there's no better girls in the world than in the UFC. So for her to fight the very best, she's got to stay in the UFC. And I know Cyborg that she wants to fight the very best. So she ain't gonna get that elsewhere.
I know. I think she's kind of just playing it up, kind of as like a tool. She's around a lot of smart people, like like BJ, like Robert Emerson, all those guys, Lockhart, all of them. So,
Mm.
she knows what she's doing over there. But it's just kind of crazy, like you said. Grass is always greener on the other side. I mean, I've lived in the city for since I was a little kid. I
until
moved away, and I was
until
like, what the
until you
fuck
get
is
there
this?
sometimes. Until you get there, you know what I mean? So I just think sometimes everyone's a little bit hard done by. Everyone was always wishing for something better, and I think it's a shame. I think they should appreciate what they've got, appreciate where they are, because there was once upon a time they would have cut off their right arm to be in the UFC.
100%. All right, so that does it for episode 4 of Gloves Off with James McSweeney and Evil Eddie. James, let's give our tags really quick. What do you got going on this week as we end out? I know that you're training some ACB fighters. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I was training Amir. Amir's here. He's training for his up and coming fight for ACB. I've got some guys coming in from Switzerland. The end of the week, I've got a guy coming from England. I've got people from all over the world coming over this week at some stage or another, coming train. Some people from Turkey coming in. So I've got a busy week, but I'm preparing now for October, my next fight. So I took the weekend off and readjust now from MMA to from K1 to MMA. So my whole program changes yet again and make the adjustments and get ready for my next fight. So back to business for me.
How excited are you to get back into K1 right now, though? You got to be excited about that.
Yeah, it's great being K1. It's really cool. I enjoy kickboxing. It's always been my passion, so it's great. But I'm excited to go back and fight for KSW as well.
All right, guys, for me this weekend, I will be at Cage Titans to check out all that action in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims landed. So I got all the coverage for you at mymmanews.com. Also, the CES 51 live action fight companion is up at Pure Evil MMA. That does it for me. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, mymmanews.com. That is the legendary James McSweeney. We're out of here.
See you later, guys. See you soon.